Hello everyone and welcome to this new tutorial on using ArcGIS. Today I'm going to focus on how to add the data that you have on an Excel sheet to the attribute table on ArcMap. And this is very important for a lot of applications. If you have collected data for any reason and you stored your data on an Excel sheet and then you want to deal with it as part of your bigger data using ArcGIS, so you will learn today how to add table from Excel to the attribute table on ArcMap or ArcGIS. So this is the main point. And also, I will explain how to add a base map for a better presentation for your data, and also how to display XY points, the locations of XY points, for example, locations of cities or any point that you have its coordinates. By the way, I explained this in a separate video. You can watch this as well if you are interested more in displaying XY points. Also, I'm going to explain how to create a color scale, which is very important for representing some kind of geographical phenomena using colors, and more and more. So let's get started. So let's say, guys, that you have now here, this is a country borders map that you can see here. I'm interested in studying some areas within the northwest of this country, for example, and this is the area that I'm going to study, for example, and I have these files here, as you can see here. This is the country map, and this is the sample areas. These are the sample areas that I'm interested in my study. Let's zoom in to see this area in a better way. I have 21 areas within this country. As you know, guys, if you like to see the attribute for these areas, just you will go to the layer itself. Here it's called sample areas here. And then you will right click on it. And then you will open the attribute table from here. Yeah. So you will open attribute table so that you will see all the information. However, I don't have a lot of information. Just I will let you see what I have now. So here I have this kind of information, guys. This is the table on the right here. This is the attribute table for these areas here. 21 areas, as you can see. So if you look here at the table, guys, I have the areas from the field ID here on the top. I have the field ID from 0 to 20. I have 21 regions. Just I have the FID, the field ID, which is very important. We will use it later on. And I have the name of the area. These are the names of the areas that I have. And the shape of the area, of course, is polygon to all of these areas. It's here. So I don't have a lot of information, in fact, for these areas. However, I've collected some information, some data for these regions, guys. I've got some soil samples from each one of these areas here. So I've collected 21 soil samples here to test, for example, the heavy metal concentration. And my data, you can see here, my data is available as an Excel sheet, as you can see here. So this is the Excel sheet. I have on this Excel sheet the field ID, which is exactly the same of this field ID. So I gave here the number for the field ID to be the same number here, the same ID for each area. For example, for area 0 here, guys, on the top right, for area 0, it was called Azaz. Okay, so here I will look for Azaz, which is here. I will give it the field ID to be 0. And then for example, Harim, its field ID here 7. I will look here. I would see that Harim is here. I will give it a field ID to be 7. So this is very important in joining the data from the Excel sheet here to the attribute table. So we need to make the field ID the same. This will make our process easier and accurate. And so on for the rest of the areas. Let's take one additional example. Sarmada here, for example. Its field ID 19. I will go here to find that Sarmada here. Its field ID 19. Okay. So now I have here on the Excel sheet, the field ID here. I have the name of the area here. And now the coordinates, easting and northing, For each soil sample, as I mentioned, within each area, I've collected a soil sample. So the coordinates for the soil sample in Ariha, for example, these are the coordinates for northing and easting. Okay? And for Raju, the coordinates northing and easting. And here I have the heavy metal. I use the term HM for the heavy metal concentration. I have the concentration in Ariha, for example, 8.4. And this is the exact location, the coordinates of the exact location of the soil sample collected, and so on. Let's take another example. Here in Al-Bab, I have collected soil sample in this location, easting and northing, and the concentration was 8.77 of the heavy metal, and so on. So now this is my Excel sheet. Now I aim to transfer this information here so that I can deal with it using ArcMap. These are the same tables. Again, this is the attribute table for this layer. So this is the layers, it's called sample areas. I open the attribute table for these regions, and this is the Excel sheet that I would like to add here to this attribute table. We are going to go to the layer itself and right click on it, guys, here, and then you will select join and relate. Okay, you will select joins and relate, and then you will select join from here. After you click join, you will have this window for joining data. Now here you will see the importance of the field ID that I mentioned previously. First here, so as you can see here, guys, first we have to choose the field in this layer that the join will be based on. As I mentioned, because we have the same field ID in both files, in the attribute and in the Excel sheet, we will use FID. The field ID is the same in both layers. And then here, we have to navigate to the table, to the Excel table that we have. Okay, you will click here to go to the location of the Excel table. I have my Excel table called coordinates with ID.csv. As you can see here, this is an Excel sheet, but I saved this as CSV extension. It's very important here, guys, not to save the Excel sheet with the latest version of Excel. For example, you can save the Excel sheet as CSV, or you can save it as Excel 97, etc. So just if you have any issue with dealing with the Excel sheet, that means just you need to change the extension from here or save it as Excel sheet 97, not the latest Excel sheet. I hope this point is clear to you guys. Okay, now after you navigate to the location of your Excel sheet here, now we have to choose the field FID in this Excel sheet as well, which is the same field in both tables, in the Excel sheet and in the attribute table. I have the same name, FID, to make things easier. Once you are happy with everything, you need to click OK. Okay, so now you will have this window. Look at this window, guys. This is now the new attribute table that have all the information. So you have from the Excel sheet, these columns, all of these columns from the Excel sheet. These are added from the Excel sheet. FID from the Excel sheet, the area name, and we have them here, however, previously. Yeah, and you have northing and easting, the location of the sample. So these are the concentrations for the heavy metals that we have collected. Okay, so now by doing that, guys, we have joined the data that we have on an Excel sheet into an attribute table using ArcMap. So now, guys, I explained all the steps in details so that you will have a good understanding on how to merge or how to join two tables, one from Excel and the other one, the attribute table within ArcMap, how to join them to create a bigger table that you can use to represent any geographical phenomena that you have. Now let's go to ArcMap and apply these steps, and also adding more information to your maps, like a base map, like displaying these locations of the points here, displaying them on the map, and so on. Now I have opened ArcMap, as you can see, guys. Now I will start to add the country borders and the sample areas, locations. Here I'm working with the northwest of the country. So let's zoom in to see. So these are the areas, 21 areas. I have soil samples within these areas. So now let's first apply what I have just mentioned about joining the data from my Excel sheet to the sample area attribute table. I will right click here on the sample areas, guys, and then I will open the attribute table so that you can have a look. So this is currently the attribute table for sample areas. Okay, FID, the field ID, the shape is polygon for each area, and the name of the area, as you can see here, Azaz, Afrin, Albab, etc. I will close this now, and then now I will join the data from the Excel sheet to here. I have my Excel sheet is saved, and now I will click join from here. Now I have this window, guys. First, we need to locate our shared field between both tables, FID, the field ID. And here, guys, I have to navigate to the location of my coordinates. It is, yes, here. This is the one, coordinates with ID. .csv. You can use this extension or Excel extension. And then here, you need to mention the field, the shared field in the attribute table as well, which is FID, the same. So now I'm happy with all of this information. It looks to me correct. Now I'll click OK. As simple as that. Let me open the attribute table after I join the data from the Excel sheet to see if there is any difference. As you can see here now, guys, the data now, I have more fields. All the data now from the Excel sheet is here now. The field ID as well, the area's name. I don't need these two fields, however, because they are available here. The easting and northing of the soil sample, and then the concentration of the heavy metal in each location. So for example, here I have the first area, which is called Azaz. I have the location of the soil sample. These are the coordinates, and then the heavy metal concentration, and so on. I have 21 areas. Now, guys, if you would like to add a base map for this country, it's very easy. Go to here to add data, and then click here, and then add base map. Okay, you will have some options here. For example, I will select imagery, and then add. Now I have the base map for the area. So this is, of course, the Middle East, and this is the map of Syria, as you can see here. And when you look to the left here, you would see this new layer, which is called base map here. So now let me open again the attribute table that we have here. Guys, now we have coordinates for each location of the soil samples. Now I aim to represent these locations, these points on my map. How to do this? There are a lot of methods, in fact. I explained one of them in a separate video. I will use it again here quickly. I will add the coordinates from the Excel sheet itself. So here I will go to File, Add Data, and then Add XY Data. And here I have to navigate to the location of my Excel sheet that includes all the coordinates. So this is my Excel sheet here. So the field for X, I would say it's the easting. The field for Y, I would say it's the northing. And then I don't have Z here. So if you are happy with all the information, make sure that the coordinate system is correct as well. So now you have the locations of these soil samples. So this is how to add the location of any point. And you will have here on the left the new layer, as you can see here. This is the new layer for a point layer that includes all of these locations. Let's open the attributes for it. As you can see here, the area, easting, northing, etc. So these are from the Excel sheet as well. So this is another way to add XY data. Now, guys, if you aim to include in your map, in your final presentation of the map, a color scale for the concentration of the heavy metals, for example, or any geographical phenomena that you have. Let's say here, this is my attribute table. You are familiar with it now. This is the column for the heavy metal concentration. I would like to represent these numbers using colors so that it would be easier to any reader to have a rough idea about the most affected areas with this heavy metal. Okay, so to do this, let's go to the properties here of this layer and then to the symbology, as you can see here, and then go to quantities here to the left, and then graduated colors, as you can see here. And now here, guys, I would select the value for the HM, which is the heavy metal. Okay, this is the heavy metal, for example. And then here I have 5 classes, like the first color for the concentration from 5.8 to 6.9, etc. You can change the classes, you can add or remove. For example, I will make them 4. And then the first one, I would make it from 5 to 10, for example. I would write down here 10. And the second one from 10 to 15, for example. And then 15 to 20. And then 20 to the last value, which is 23.5. And okay, if you are happy with the colors, with everything, you can change the colors, of course. For example, if you would like to change this color, just click here. And then you will have all the colors. You will go here to change the color as you like. I will keep the color as it is. I will apply now. I will bring this here. As you can see here now, guys, I have a color representation for the concentration of the heavy metal. Okay, so this color for the concentration between 5.8 to 10. So these areas here with this color, guys, 5 to 10. 10 to 15, it would be darker a bit, like this one here, this one. Okay, 15 to 20, it would be darker, and then 20 to 23.5, the darkest color here. I'll click OK here. So, and on the left here, you can see the heavy metal, for example, and then these are the concentrations. If you would like just to remove these zeros from the display here, just go to the properties again, just the label, just change the label to be from 5.89, for example, to 10.00, etc. Apply. Now I have it here on the left in a better representation for the heavy metal concentration and with a color representation. Okay, guys, now if you would like to add the names of these areas, easily you can go to here, for example. This is the points that I added. You can go to properties, go to labels. As you can see here, just tick here the label feature in this layer, and then you would go to the field that includes the name. I have it here under area. I would say apply. Let's just move this here. As you can see here, I have the names, all the names here. Okay. So this is how to include the names. If you'd like to include also the concentration of the heavy metal in each area, go to the sample areas, go to properties, and then go to labels, and then tick this one, and here go to tick the label feature, guys, and then you will go to the field that includes the heavy metal here, and then you click apply, for example. Okay, let me remove this. Just you have the numbers here. So that means in this area, this concentration is 8.77, in this one, 6.38. You can, of course, change the size and the color of the labels from properties. I explained this in a separate video, in fact, in more details, but quickly now, to change the color, you can go from here to change the size. Okay, make it 10, for example. The color, let's make it red, for example. Apply, okay. So here I have the concentration. And of course, here you can change the colors as well. Okay, now let's just add the map, base map. This is our base map, guys. Here, this is the area that we are working on. Let's remove the values. Just untick this one, uncheck this box, and then apply. I removed I remove these numbers now, the concentration of the heavy metal. To add a legend, for example, the color scale for this map here, just first you need to go to layout view, down here guys, down, layout view, as you can see here, just one click, you will have your map, and then to add the legend with the colors, you would go to insert here on the top, insert, and then you will insert a legend, as you can see here guys. And here the options for the legend itself. So here I would like my legend just to include the samples areas guys, because I would like just to represent the heavy metal concentration. Okay, and then I will remove all of these things here. Okay, now I would like to create a legend for the samples area. And then next, let's keep everything now as it is. And then later on we can change as we like. Now it's working for generating the legend. This is my legend guys, as you can see here. So this is my legend, as you can see here, 4 colors for this layer, which is sample areas. I will make it just larger a bit. And you can do some changes on this legend. For example, I will right click on the legend and then convert to graphics, for example, here. After you converted this to a graphics, you need to ungroup it. Ungroup from here, guys. Right click on it and then ungroup. Now you can deal with each one. If, for example, I don't like to keep this legend term, I can just delete it, simply delete. Okay, and then here, for example, if you would like to change this title of the legend, you can. For example, I don't need this as well. I will just one click and then delete. And then this one, you can just make it heavy metal. You can write whatever you like. Heavy metal, for example, concentration, etc. Okay, so you can make it suitable to you, and then you can group it again. After you finish, go here and then group it again so that you can make it larger or smaller as one group. And then you would locate this here. For example, this is my map, and now any reader of this map can just have a look, and then they will have a rough idea that these dark areas have concentration more than 20 of this heavy metal. These light areas have a concentration between 5 and 10, 10 to 15, etc. And you can keep, or you can take away the base map as well. You can also take away the borders. You can keep, just leave these. It's up to you, in fact, to decide on the final layout of your map. Here, for example, if you would like to include all the country, you can just make it like this. Here, then go to view, layout view, and then it would be something like that. And then you can include this here, but now it's very small here, you can't see it. So it's up to you for the final, as I mentioned, layout of your map. Okay, guys, so in today's session, you learned a lot of things. In fact, we started with a very important idea about how to join some information from an Excel sheet and to add them to an attribute table. As you can see here, we've done this using join, and then you learned how to add a base map to your area, and then how to add coordinates of the locations X and Y for each location that you are interested in. In our case, these locations represent the location of the soil sample taken in every single region. And then you learned also how to display the legend for each location. As you can see here, the legend for this one, Rajo, Afrin, etc. And also you learned how to produce a color scale, which is very important as well. For example, for this area, we added the color scale, which is here from legend. That represents the heavy metal concentration in each one of these areas that we studied. Okay, thank you very much for listening. I hope that this video was useful, and I will see you soon. Bye now.